The moment you start revealing everything about yourself, you begin to disappear. Picture it, a casual conversation. Someone asks you a simple question. What are you working on? What are your plans? What do you really think about them? It feels harmless. It feels human, and yet something subtle happens beneath the surface. You lean forward. You open up. You explain. You expose the machinery inside your mind, and in that exact second you have loosened the bolts of your own power. Because the world does not reward transparency the way you think it does. It studies it. It maps it. It uses it. The more you reveal, the easier you become to predict. The easier you become to control. And the one who can be predicted is already being played. Alan Watts understood something that most people spend their entire lives missing. He saw that your inner world is not something to display. It is something to protect. Something sacred. Something that loses its force the moment it is dragged into the light of other people's opinions. But what if you stopped doing that? What if you kept certain things sealed? Not out of fear, but out of awareness. Today we are going to dissect the 9 things you should never reveal to anyone. Not because the world is evil, but because it is unconscious. And unconscious people cannot be trusted with your depth. But be warned. This will require restraint. It will require you to resist the urge to be seen. The urge to be validated. The urge to say just one more thing. If you can resist that urge, you become something rare, something quiet, something powerful. Let's begin. The first thing you should never reveal is your long-term vision. Think about it. The moment you tell someone your dream, it stops being yours. It becomes a topic, a discussion, a thing to be judged. You say you want to build something great. They nod, they smile, or worse, they question it, they inject doubt, and now your vision is no longer pure. It has been contaminated by their limited perception. Alan Watts would say that life is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be lived. Your vision is not a business plan for others to approve. It is a direction your soul is moving toward. The more you talk about it, the less energy you have to actually pursue it. Words leak energy. Silence concentrates it. The most dangerous person in the room is not the one talking about what they will do. It is the one quietly doing it. The second thing is your next move. Most people telegraph everything. They announce their intentions before they act. They seek reassurance. They want someone to say that makes sense. That is smart. But the moment you do that, you invite interference. You invite resistance. You give people time to react, to block, to influence. Real power moves in silence. It appears suddenly. It shifts the room before anyone can prepare. If you always announce your next step, you are playing checkers in a world that rewards chess. The third thing is your deepest insecurities. Now this one is dangerous because modern culture tells you the opposite. Be vulnerable. Share your truth. And yes, there is a place for that. But not with everyone. Not in every environment. When you expose your insecurities to the wrong person, you are not being authentic. You are handing them a map of your weak points. And humans, consciously or not, will press on those points. Not always out of malice, sometimes out of curiosity, sometimes out of their own pain, but the result is the same. You become easier to destabilize. Alan Watts spoke often about the illusion of the ego, but dissolving your ego does not mean exposing your wounds to people who have not earned your trust. It means understanding yourself deeply enough that those wounds no longer control you. The fourth thing is your acts of kindness. The moment you talk about how good you are, you dilute it. You turn something pure into something performative. You help someone, then you tell others about it. Why? Look closely. There is a subtle desire to be seen as good, to be validated, but true kindness does not need an audience. The more you broadcast it, the less real it becomes. And worse, people begin to question your motives. Silence protects the integrity of your actions. The fifth thing is your personal life details. Not everything needs to be shared. Your relationships, your struggles, your private moments, these are not public property. The more people know about your life, the more opinions they form, the more narratives they build about you, and those narratives will start to influence how they treat you. When you keep your personal life contained, you maintain control over your identity. You are not a story being told by others. You are a presence that cannot be easily defined. The sixth thing is your financial status. Whether you have a lot or a little, revealing it changes how people see you. If you have more, it creates envy or expectation. If you have less, it can create judgment or pity. Money is not just a number, it is a signal, and once people receive that signal, they adjust their behavior. They treat you differently. They calculate. They compare. Keeping it private removes that layer of distortion. It allows interactions to remain clean. The seventh thing is your past mistakes. Yes, you should learn from them. Yes, you should own them internally. But broadcasting them to everyone is not growth. It is self-exposure without strategy. People do not always see your past the way you do. They do not see the lessons. They see the flaw. They anchor you to it. And suddenly you are no longer who you are becoming. You are who you were. Growth requires reflection, not constant confession. The eighth thing is your opinions about others. The moment you speak negatively about someone, you reveal more about yourself than them. You expose your judgment, your bias, your emotional state. And words travel. They distort. They come back. Silence here is not weakness. It is discipline. It is the ability to observe without needing to comment. Alan Watts often pointed to the illusion of separateness. The idea that we are all playing roles within the same system. When you attack others verbally, you are feeding a game that ultimately pulls you down as well. The ninth and final thing is your inner philosophy. This one is subtle. Your deepest beliefs about life, about existence, about meaning. These are not always meant to be explained. Because the moment you try to explain them, you reduce them. You turn something experiential into something intellectual, and most people will not understand anyway. They will interpret your words through their own limited framework, and what was once profound becomes something ordinary. Some truths are not meant to be spoken. They are meant to be lived. So what happens when you stop revealing these things? At first it feels uncomfortable. You feel the urge to speak, to fill the silence, to explain yourself, but then something shifts. You become harder to read, harder to predict. People lean in more. They pay attention, not because you are louder, but because you are quieter. Your presence becomes heavier. Your words carry more weight because there are fewer of them. This is not about becoming secretive or cold. It is about becoming intentional. It is about understanding that not everything needs to be shared to be real. Alan Watts once hinted at the idea that the more you try to define yourself, the more you limit yourself. The same applies here. The more you reveal, the more you confine your identity within other people's perceptions. But when you hold things back, you remain fluid, undefined, free. So here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, say less. Not in a forced way, not in a robotic way, but in an aware way. When you feel the urge to explain, pause. When you feel the urge to reveal, question it. Ask yourself, is this necessary, or am I just seeking validation? Watch what happens. Watch how people respond. Watch how your energy changes when it is not constantly leaking out through unnecessary words. You will notice something powerful. You will feel more grounded, more contained, more in control, because you are no longer scattering yourself across every conversation. You are holding yourself together. And in a world where everyone is constantly talking, constantly revealing, constantly trying to be seen, the one who knows when to remain silent becomes impossible to ignore.